Does your house look like this? Or this? How about even this? Well, you're not the only one suffering from poor defense design. However, you are one of the ones looking to make a recovery from such a horrible disease. As the certified jailbreak juggie that I am, I'm here to teach the new, old, and inexperienced on how to properly defend their house from the pesky money marauders that are the jailbreak tryhard cops. I would like to clarify that this is the first of a 4-part series about how to maximize your house defense potential. This in specific will be about how to make better house defenses using furniture, not how to defend better combat-wise, so keep that in mind. I will be making a video on that too, though, so without further ado, let me begin. Don't leave your vault unattended for too long. Not everyone does this, but I think it is by far the most common occurrence when claiming a house. Remember this and don't disregard it. Your defense is not good enough. You need to stay active when running the vault or it will be taken by the first cop who discovers it. If they're not incompetent, at least. Now, it's totally okay if you do end up getting raided and lose all the money in the vault. Not much can be stored in there anyways for you to actually need to cry about it. But keeping it armed, at least in my opinion, is something you should absolutely do. I know 8k every 15 minutes isn't much, but if you're playing with your friend or in a group call, you might as well arm it because, well, why not? It takes like 20 seconds, and as long as you just play the game, you get a nice little bonus. I like to think of it as the criminals' versions of paychecks, so just whenever you have a break in between robbery groups, go ahead and check up on your vault and make sure it's secure. Now, if you're even more active, use the vault to your advantage. Don't just put it in a corner. This had to be one of the first things I covered because, wow, does literally everybody do this? If you truly want to defend your vault, keeping it in a corner is not the best move. Neither is putting it in one of these extra little rooms like in the townhouse or desert hideout. While yes, if you know what you're doing, putting it in a corner can sometimes work. Most people just plop it down, put 3 sentries in annoying but defective spots, and then call it a day. Look, when you're deciding where to place your vault, don't forget one major feature of it. It's bulletproof. Yeah, well, technically, you can still wallbang through it. Shh! You know what I mean. Shut up. It cannot be destroyed at all once placed. One of the best uses for this is to use it as sort of a wall from the inside, placing it in front of like one of the entrances, well, if possible that is. This is a great way to force people to come in from just one door, and it allows you to strategically place your defenses in spots that make it even harder to crack the vault. Another way you can use it to block doors is using it to make a safe room. Remember those extra rooms I mentioned earlier? In my opinion, the best way to utilize the vault in those rooms is to actually lock yourself in the room. But that's only if you need to, obviously. Being chased by the cops? Stop by your house and lock yourself in with a donut machine and just wait them out. Want to make it literally impossible for them to crack? Just put it behind the door and they can't do anything. Now, I've never really used that as a strategy, but I mean, it's possible. Another really cool and definitely not annoying thing you can do is use the vault like a shield. While yes, you and things behind it will still take damage, it's reduced. The main thing I use this mechanic for is putting a sentry behind it, making an invincible wall in front of the sentry. Just note that if you do this, the sentry will struggle aiming in certain directions and probably isn't the best option for sentry protection. Oh, and by the way, this works with fireplaces too, except those are destructible. Use the space given to you. Another thing I tend to see, just not as often, is people putting every furniture they have in one area. Whether it be the off room in the townhouse, living room in the beach house, or the main room in the critter penthouse, people seem to pay attention to only one room. Not only does this look stupid, but it also gives more cover to the cops raiding you. Stop doing this, please. Okay, now that you've spread your furniture out, see how you can best utilize the openness of the room. Is it a small, cramped room? Put sentries in the middle so they're always targeting the cops. Is it a large, open room? Put sentries in the corners to make it harder to destroy them, and they have better accuracy on spam jumping cops. Now, if you have a room like these, don't just focus on sentry placement when thinking of defense. If you want to be in the most advantageous spot to defend in, use all of the furniture provided to you. Wall and ceiling furniture is way more useful than people seem to think. It's genuinely fun sitting in a stupid chandelier and beaming unsuspecting cops with a revolver. If you'd rather sit on a wall than the ceiling though, which is understandable, try also utilizing wall furniture that comes out a little as shields. While they're not something like the vault, of course, they still provide just that little extra protection that might make a difference in a raid. I think the cosmetic safe and neon sign are great for this, but some ceiling furniture also works-ish. Last thing I want to go over for this part is something that I honestly thought I'd see more of, which is using the wall-like furniture to block off areas and hide important stuff. I think these are still great when making defenses and should always be considered. They make great cover and can hide traps you don't want people to know they're about to walk into, which I'll go more into traps in another episode. While there's not much to talk about these, I think they're great, and if you ever raid me, you'll likely notice these somewhere in my builds. I always seem to include them. While stuff like the sci-fi kitchen and superhero display aren't great at hiding things behind them, the mod kitchen is surprisingly useful. If you didn't know, you can place things in between walls that aren't exterior walls. This means you can put a vault partly through the wall, put a mod kitchen in front of it, and then something on the other side, and it will hide your vault pretty good. There is genuinely one foolproof method of hiding vaults. It is so good that I cannot show you guys because I do not want it to get patched. Anyways, that's about all the basics you're going to need to know when defending your vault in Jailbreak. Hope this helped you, and go ahead and subscribe with noties on if you want to be updated when I upload the next part. Signing out.
Hey now, say now, I'm all about them bands. Shit I'm on, but you wouldn't understand. Hey now, say now, I'm all about my guap. AP Richie, not on my watch. Cause Brody said don't even press the issue.